Yeah, he finally woke up. Dude, he's taking me all the way to the bottom. Kevin and I are out here, we're fishing local. Been out here, this is our second drift. Catching a few. Not setting the world on fire, but we're catching fish. Wasn't quite sure if I was gonna shoot a video or not today, but yeah, it's a nice day, nice enough day. So here we are. I think I have a goal today of going over a little bit of how we rig and also why we rig that way. There's some reasons why we do it for commercial reasons. So stay tuned and we'll show you how you catch some fish just like that right there. And I think it's even the right color. We like them like that. I guess I'll leave the camera rolling now. Oh, look at that, I got out of the kelp. You almost think that was professional, huh? We are professional, you know that. We are considered professionals, you know why? Because professionals are just people who get paid for what they do. See, look, that was pro. Oh, look at that, come over this way. $24.5. All right, so there we go. Legal-ing going in the barrel. I should probably not put this on the video, but you know, we're supposed to be working, but Kevin and I are having way too much fun. Oh, work.
Job, right?
What's that?
Job,
it's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it, you know. Got to feed the world. I can't hardly contain myself. Yeah, it's pretty rough when I got to tell people, sorry man, I got to go to work today. And I'm going fishing. Kevin and I are both hooked up. We'll see who has the bigger fish. Probably you.
I gotta go for it.
I got a small brown. So is that your bet? You got a gopher and I got a brown? Mine just got better. It's a brown. No, it's red. It's a nice one though. It's a nice vermilion rockfish. Brown. Oh, we're still picking away. There you go. Kevy's on again. Look at that. 2-for-1 special. Oh. He's barely hooked and I can't get him in this little tiny net. Oh crap. And I just did it again. This guy's wanting. Oh, what a CF. Look, he just fell right off. It's a nice brown that I still managed to catch after that not very professional landing. That had disaster written all over it. I don't know why I grabbed that little net. I thought he'd fit in it. Nice.
Oh, really? You bit my butt off.
Hey, they'll still bite it like that. Throw it down there. I'll bet you get one like that. Come on. Where's your sense of adventure? Oh, look at that. That is a lucky catch. By the tail. Well, mid-morning report and we're still picking away at them. I wouldn't say it's on fire, but not too bad. Nice quality brown there. That's a grumpy one. I think this one's close to 4, 3.5. That's a good one. We'll take these all day long. Did you bust a sweat on this one? Kevin caught a little rock. Let's see it. That's when you know that you're fishing in the right zone. When you pick rocks off the bottom, you know you're in the right area, right? I'll take them. Felt a little heavier because of that kelp. Okay, what I'm going to do here is show you guys how I rig. We use donkey rig, double fluke, or double leprechaun rig. I've heard it called a lot of different things. Basically allows us to use 2 lures at the same time, one on each of 2 leaders, and the leaders will slide. And so the first thing I do, and I didn't get a very good shot of that, is I put on a swivel, a bead, and then a second swivel. I usually like that second swivel to be a little bit bigger than the first swivel, so that way it doesn't slip through. So I tie that first swivel is just sliding up and down on the main line. The second swivel is tied to the end of the line, like so. I used 5-turn San Diego jam nuts for everything I fish. And then on that, I'm going to tie some 40-pound leader material. I use Iser XXX 40-pound. And then I tie about 5 feet or so. Cut it off about 5 feet. And I tie the other end of it to that sliding swivel. And I do this for a particular reason here, and I'll show you in a minute. This way I don't have to measure out leaders, because in the end, all I want is the leaders to be about 8 inches or so different in length. The length isn't super critical. It could be a little bit too long, it could be a little bit too short. Somewhere around 18 inches for the shorter leader and 24 inches for the longer leader is ideal. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look and find the sliding leader and the fixed one, and I'm going to pull it tight, and about 4 or 5 inches from the end, I'm going to cut it, and I cut it with my teeth. And so now the longer leader is the one that's sliding up and down. And on the longer leader, I can use any 2 lures I want, but ideally one lure is going to be heavier than the other. And on the longer leader, I want to put whatever lure is heavier on the longer leader. In this case, I'm using a 3-ounce iron that we hand paint and put our own hooks on. There's just simple lead jigs. And as time goes on, I'll show you guys how we make those. So that's on the longer leader. And on the shorter leader, today I'm using a Locket Lure 3-inch little paddle tail swim bait on a 1/2 ounce bullet lead head. That's going to be my short, what we call teaser. I think the typical fluke rig, double fluke rig, had 2 equal sized lures, but we use a heavier jig on one. And so there you have it. The lighter one is tied fixed to the line, and it's about 8 inches or 10 inches above the heavier one that allows it to slide. Now the reason why we do that is that when we hook big fish, if you hook 2 big fish at the same time and they want to go different directions, obviously if you just have a fixed knot in there, they can break you off. And we do this double fluke rig to prevent that. We've actually had that happen where we've hooked 2 lings at the same time and had one bust off. And there you have it. That's the rig we use. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments. We'll pick some up over that spot. Yeah, that's what Kevin left for me on the tank. New drift, and Kevin and I are both on. Wait, what?
Thought I had another cucumber, but it's not with
Yeah, no more cucumbers. One. Kevin, that's not the right species there. Yeah, I'm throwing away your breakfast. No breakfast for you. Yeah, the wind's kicking up, but we're still grinding away. Yeah, this is a tiring day at work. Are you tired, Kevin? It's been a grind, the daily grind. I think for us, the daily grind takes on a whole new meaning, huh? We just started another drift, and I thought I'd give you guys some of the reasons why we use that double fluke rig or donkey rig or leprechaun rig, whatever you guys want to call it. Beside the obvious, which is to be able to fish 2 lures at the same time. I firmly believe that when you use 2 lures like that at the same time and they're in close proximity to each other, I believe that it's inciting a reaction bite. These fish that we're catching, rockfish, are highly predatory fish. They rely upon opportunities to catch their food. And so when they see 2 of a particular possible food item, I think it initiates a reaction. Or they may even think that it's something else that's going to, one lure being bigger than the other, is going to take advantage of their food if they don't get to it, and so they tend to strike at it. Either way, I believe that having 2 lures down there are an advantage. And then in addition to that, It also allows us to kind of narrow down exactly what they're biting. There are some days when they're going to be kind of keyed in on iron. Other days they'll be keyed in on swim baits. And this allows us to fish one of each and to see what we're catching most of our fish on. If we're catching most of our fish on swim baits, then we know that that's what we need to be using. If we're catching most of our fish on iron, then we know that that's what we need to be using. And lastly, and this is probably the reason why this is my first choice when I'm out here fishing rockfish, why I like to use an iron and a swim bait, is that swim baits are a lot of times more effective, but an iron will allow us to fish down where the fish are. They're heavier, they're more dense, and it gets it down there quicker. And so we're more productive, I feel, when we're fishing iron. So that's my other reason why it's kind of my go-to rig. There are other rigs that we use. Sometimes we'll even fish bait when the fish get real finicky, but this is usually what we start out with. The double rigged jig, iron, 3 ounce usually, and a little teaser or a little swim bait on a lead head. Now if we can just catch one, I'll show you how it works. That's not as nice as I thought, but at least I got him. I was wrapped up on a rock with a fish. We actually had to back into him and finally coaxed him out of there. I thought he was a little nicer, but still a decent fish. Oh, it's a big starry. Look at that. That's a nice starry.
Right there, man. That's what we get out in the deep.
Yep. Make sure to keep this one alive. Starry rockfish. Beautiful fish. One of the things we do have to be aware of when we're using this double fluke rig is that the teaser oftentimes will tie an overhand knot and prevent it from swiveling. So make sure as you're fishing throughout the day that you're looking at that, making sure that you don't have an overhand knot tied in there. And then another thing I should probably talk about is the types of rods and reels we use. We use bass rods and reels, partly because of the sensitivity. I feel like it's important that you have a good sensitive rod so that you can tell when your lure is on the bottom. All right, so that's important. But also for lightweight, you know, a long day of fishing. And I just lost one. A long day of fishing, you're gonna end up being pretty sore if you're using heavier gear. And so we like these lighter weight, I guess they're not lighter weight, they're heavyweight bass rods. So the rod that I like to use is a Phoenix M1 SMX 82 MH. It's an 8-foot 2-inch, 15 to 35 pound line class rating. And then the reels we use are, I'm probably gonna laugh, they're Pissy Fun Alejos 300s. So they're a 300 size reel, super nice reel for what we're using. They're inexpensive, they're less than $100. They seem to hold up pretty well. We're pretty hard on gear, and so we're replacing them every year. So anyways, but they do seem to last pretty good. Got a good decent drag, 33-pound drag. We've caught halibut to 25 pounds on these reels with no problem at all. So plenty capable of handling the species of fish that we're targeting here. Is this a type of reel that you can use for bluefin tuna? Absolutely not. They'll never hold up. They probably blow up. Try to fish bluefin tuna with them. But for catching rockfish, lingcod, even halibut, kind of my go-to rod and reel. And there you go. There's Kevin. He's got another one. And then as far as gear is concerned, one last thing that I should mention is the size of braid that we use. I generally use 65-pound Izerline braid. I don't know, Kevin, what do you use, 50-pound? Kevin uses 50-pound braid with a short top shot. I know I'm running 40-pound Izer XXX mono. I don't bother using fluorocarbon. It would be great as far as abrasion resistance, and obviously it's great as far as visibility, but to me it doesn't seem like it makes a bit of difference. And so I use mono because it's cheaper.
Not line shy. I mean,
they're not line
30,
shy.
40 pound, you're good for everything.
And I use 40-pound. I use 40-pound for everything. Definitely not line shy. I've never had an instance where I thought that I needed to drop down a line size because they weren't biting, anything like that. So I connect my monofilament with a FG knot. You can find numerous YouTube videos on how to tie an FG knot. One of those knots takes a little bit of practice to be able to tie it. And once you get it down, it's pretty easy. And I usually put a little dab of super glue on the end there to keep it from that finished knot from unraveling. And then I put about 2 fathoms, 2 arm lengths of monofilament on there as my top shot. It's about as long as I ever go. You want a little bit of stretch from the mono because the braid is so non-stretchy. You want a little bit of stretch from the mono, but you don't need too much. 12 feet or so is what I put on. Early afternoon update, getting a little windier, drift's getting a little quicker, and we're getting a little tired, so this will probably be the last one. As always, I lied when I said it was our last drift. I can never just do one more. So we're at it again. One more cast, yeah, exactly. I can't help it. I have this addiction problem. That's a gopher cod, but we'll take them. And Jerry says it's not a ling, it's brown. This reminds me of a song. Can't think of the name, but it goes, I just can't get enough, I just can't get enough. Because you know what song I'm talking about, huh? I'll have to look it up and find it. It's an 80s song. I'll look it up when I get home. Oh, look at that. Yeah, he finally woke up. Dude, he's taking me all the way to the bottom. Yeah. Yeah, he just came up slow and steady with a little bit of weight, you know, and then all of a sudden he came up, cocked up an octopus, and then just took me all the way to the bottom.
Jettison some ballast into
Yeah, exactly. Look at that. Didn't even poke a hole in him. Oh, check it out. There's an octopus right there. Got a big old octopus in his mouth. There you go. He lost his dinner. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's a keeper. He's a keeper. I don't know. Just can't get enough. Once again, I lied. We're doing another drift. Is this the third time I said we were going and we didn't go? We did another drift. I don't know, we just keep whacking more fish. You know, like this one. It's getting good. Every time I drop down, I get bit. So like, why would you leave fish biting, right? Oh, look at this one. You don't want to come up. And this is a different spot, a little bit different spot than when we were fishing earlier. So it's not like I was going back over the same spot over and over. Just found another biting spot. Found another Denny's. Where they're all hungry. So in future videos, I plan to cover more topics of our operation here. Oh, look at that. Double red. Really. We'll take them. Take them all the way home to the bank. 20, 30 minutes ago, Kevin tied this blingy thing on here. One that he painted up. It's got some purple glitter on there, and it's got a nice little skirt, little hula skirt. And this is what I've been catching all the fish on. So I got to give credit where credit's due. Thanks, Kev, for hooking me up, quite literally. And that is a 4-ounce jig. With the wind like this, and we're drifting so fast, it's nice to have a little bit extra weight. Normally we'd be fishing 3-ounce, but with this wind, we both dropped down to 4-ounce jigs just to be able to get the jigs to the zone and kind of hover in that zone a little bit longer. I know I've talked about this in other videos, but I'll say it again. Fishing is all about location, both horizontally and vertically. So think about that. It needs to be horizontal. Oh, he got off. You need to be over the location horizontally in the right area, but you also need to be in the right spot vertically, meaning if you want to catch rockfish, if you're not on the bottom, you're not going to catch rockfish. There's another one right there. And so you need to keep that lure at or near the bottom. If you're up off the bottom at all, you're going to catch species. You'll catch fish, but you're not going to catch the fish that we're looking for. We're looking for the ground fish. You'll catch things like reds, which I've been doing a lot of today. I think I've caught 7 of them today. So make sure that you're thinking horizontal and vertical. There's another brown coming aboard. Welcome, number 42. Now serving up number 42. wanted to give you guys a rundown of what we caught. We ended up with 124 pounds of rockfish that we sold to the wholesaler today. Not a bad day, so we'll take that. So hopefully I covered a little bit on how we catch our rockfish. If you have any questions, please feel free to put those questions in the comments and I'll try to answer them for you. And as time goes on, I'm going to be answering more and more about our operation, including things like where we fish, how we fish. We'll probably go over again how we sell our fish. So if you are interested in the topic of commercial fishing, please subscribe because we'll be putting more videos up on our channel. Thanks for watching, and that's a wrap.